All right, so we are live. I am Jessica Barbary. This is Jay Z Pitts. He has joined us because today he is launching his little novella called The Christmas Demon. And I don't know if it's like quite the season, it's like the Nightmare Before Christmas where you can get a two season bang for your entertainment read. So Jay Z crafts stories where hope and danger walk hand in hand. In Virtual Rebel, the fight for freedom begins in a world too eager to give it up. The Christmas Demon, survival means facing the darkness outside and within. So, with that, I'm going to kick it over to Jay Z to do a pitch for The Christmas Demon, and then we will take away.
All right. Well, I appreciate you having me on. And I've got this little elevator pitch already prepared for the Christmas Demon. So it's survival means confrontation when a broken family encounters a demon from ancient folklore during their alpine vacation, forcing them to face not only the darkness outside, but also within. It was just it was a story that came to me about a year ago, and I was in a pretty unique headspace, I guess you could say. Not the greatest of headspaces, and I didn't actually come up with the story first. I came up with the characters first, because just some of the mental stuff I was dealing with, and these characters just started coming alive in my mind, and they were relatable because they were in some pretty dark headspaces there as well. And as I started thinking about these characters, the story slowly started forming from there.
Awesome. All right. So let's dig right into it then, as far as the story itself. So you said you were in a unique headspace. You said you started it last year.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm I'm curious. I I don't know much. So your first book, The Virtual Rebel, is
Mm-hmm.
that like a sci-fi type, or what is that? Where does that
Yeah,
fit?
it's a YA sci-fi novel, and that
Excellent.
took about 3 years to write, and it was written first started in the 2020. Um, so a lot of an interesting time that was, and so kind of inspired some of the ideas that I had for freedom fighters and people all too willing to give up their freedom.
That makes sense. So this one is more, I guess, would be like a horror angle, if you will. So
Yeah.
are you a horror fan, or where did the horror decision come
Uh,
from?
yeah, a little bit of a horror fan. I enjoy writing it a little bit more than I enjoy like either watching or reading it. I'll watch or read a little bit of it, but I wouldn't necessarily call myself a horror aficionado or anything like that. Um, but there's been some, especially movies that I've enjoyed that were just like really well done, really well crafted, and were really good with their scares and stuff. So I've always admired that ability to bring out an emotion or reaction in people. So I like experimenting, and so even before I wrote Virtual Rebel, I wrote a short horror story called In the Pale Blue Light, and I think it was the first story I ever sold, and it was to a horror anthology, and I was just experimenting with different types of scares, different type of atmosphere building and stuff like that. So had fun with that. Um, so when I got in this headspace with the Christmas Demon, I was like, well, I need to do something with this. I need to just start writing. I did, that's how for a long time now I've just been able to like kind of convey a mood or an emotion or something is just sitting down and writing. And I already, like I said, I already had these characters in mind. And then for a long time, I'd always wanted to do a Krampus story. And so I figured that was a good chance to use Krampus. Is like, okay, I'm in this mood. I've wanted to do a Krampus story for a while. Let's do this. I especially wanted to do it after watching the 2015 movie and was just a little like, underwhelmed by it.
I don't know if it was you that posted or somebody I saw somewhere was like, "It's Krampus, but it doesn't suck."
Yeah, yeah, exactly, exactly. It was just it had its moments. It was decent, but it was a little underwhelming. So I wanted to try to go for something a bit more intense, a bit more scary, a bit more, you know, something I would enjoy more at least.
Awesome. So, I guess the thing I always wanna know, so you started with the characters, you had a certain mood that you were going for, you had this idea of Krampus sitting around in your head, so you tried to, you saw it as a good opportunity to do that. I guess from the headspace, did you know it was going to be a horror story when you had the characters? Is that where you kind of thought it would be?
Yeah, I figured it would be a horror story just because the characters' headspaces were kind of in a dark place and kind of matching my own. Now, the issues that the characters are dealing with were totally different than the issues that I was dealing with. But I needed characters struggling, really struggling with something, and so I gave them some issues. Uh, the father has an alcoholism problem, and he's dealing with this kind of guilt, this guilt of, I'm failing as a father, I'm failing as a husband, and you know, I got hooked on alcohol, and I can't seem to. Not only do I can't kick the habit, I don't really want to kick the habit. Um, and then the mother's dealing with her own trauma and her own grief, and she has an addiction of her own that she's using as a coping mechanism and all that. And so, when we first meet these characters, the father and the mother at least, they're not the most likable characters, and they're really struggling. But I tried to also write them in a way that readers could feel empathetic with them.
Yeah.
That there's a relatability to their struggle. Obviously, not everyone's dealing with alcohol or drug addictions or anything like that, but I think everyone's dealing with struggles of some kind. And so I tried to write it in that way that would elicit empathy in the reader.
Yeah, I think that's a skill, and I think it's important. Like even if you're, I like the, I have a soft spot for the unlikable protagonist that has to go through something. Like the idea that we are all not perfect people, and so I think there is a relatability in people that struggle, and maybe that's why people don't like them so much because it's like, oh, when you see somebody that's struggling with dark things or has a personality that's maybe caustic or whatever it is that they're like, oh, I see something of myself in there. And I like that. A
I think
dark
so.
mirror to have to occupy that headspace.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. So you have this concept. You started working on it. How long did it take you to get this drafted?
Um, I think the first draft took. I'm horrible at timelines and remembering all this stuff. I think the first draft took anywhere from 6 months to 7 or 8 months, something like that. I I'm not as fast a writer as I would like to be.
Yeah.
Obviously, if I, took that long to write a novella, but um, it's you're always dealing with something,
Hmm.
life, work, um, family. Anyway, so it was a process. It came together, and it was also the more the more I write, the less outline heavy I get. When I first started, I was very outline heavy. I would write these 60, 70 page outlines for my stories. And as I've gone along, I'm doing that less and less. Now it's more of a, maybe a sentence for like a section of the book or a sentence for a chapter. Like, I need this to happen. And then just kind of discover my way into that happening. whatever the case may be. So part of it was I wasn't sure how the book should end. Um, it's structured, the Christmas Demon is structured like a horror story, but it's not quite a full-on horror story. That's why I also talk about it being a dark fantasy as well, because it follows a lot of horror conventions, but towards the end, it starts moving away from some of those conventions. So that was something, as I left that structure, something that I kind of had to wrestle with. Okay, so what am I going to do? How's this going to go? You know, in horror, you usually have a downer of an ending. You know, um, things don't go well. The demon wins. You know, whatever the case may be. And I wasn't going fully in that direction without giving spoilers. I wasn't fully going in the, you know, going to have a downer ending. But I thought about it. I was like, you know, so far I've written it this way. You know, horror audiences are going to kind of expect this. So what should I do? So that's why I also describe it as a dark fantasy, just so, you know, there's a little bit of you know, uh, trying to set up proper expectations when going into it.
Yeah, that's the tricky part. This when you're breaking those genre expectations for sure.
Yeah.
Cool. So you went from being like a super plotter to refining that back. I'm curious because I'm definitely not a super plotter when I write. So I'm curious about the headspace of what that's like. I don't know if you have any thoughts about that, or you can describe like
Yeah,
what it
definitely.
was that kind of compelled you to take more of that approach, and then what did you find caused you to maybe step back away from that a bit as you wrote this?
Well, when I wrote my first novel, it's an unpublished novel. I wanted that structure there because I had never done it before. So I was like, okay, this will help me stay on the straight and narrow, if you will. And this will help me get to the end. And I did so. I wrote the first novel. But like I said, it's going to remain unpublished just because I would have to go back and rewrite the entire thing. And I rewrote that thing twice already. But it gave me the confidence that I needed that I could write a book, right?
Yeah.
So with Virtual Rebel, it started as an experiment, right? So I've said this, you know, to some other folks before, but it started as an experiment. I wanted to try out writing YA, and I wanted to try out writing by the seat of my pants. And I got about 6 chapters in, and I was like, okay, I need some structure. I need some idea of where I'm going. You know, I don't need this, you know, super rigid, super detailed plan, but I need some idea of where I'm going. And that was basically the idea behind the outlines. It's just like focusing my creativity in a certain direction so that I'm not throwing out tons of words and stuff. Even though I still do, I still throw out thousands and thousands of words, because I do like to discovery write as well. So with Virtual Rebel, it was a little more, the outline was a little bit more detailed than it was for the Christmas Demon. The Christmas Demon, I think I only gave like a few sentences here and there as an outline. Like, okay, the family starts off with this, they move on into this, and then they encounter this, and they have to deal with this. And I think I like that better. It gives me more room for at least what feels like spontaneity.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I like the idea of telling myself the story as I'm going, but I also like having that direction because, you know, I feel like I could get lost and then the writing can kind of meander and kind of wander around without any clear direction, and I don't want to, you know, don't want to do
having
that.
some guardrails up around the process to be like, okay, this is where we're ultimately trying to get to.
Exactly.
So don't follow this lead way off over into left field here.
Yeah, basically.
That makes sense to me. Yeah, I can relate to some degree. I think I've done both myself. Outlining things and being more free wielding, and it's definitely. I've definitely gotten stuck when it's like I don't know where this is going. Like you need a direction for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah. I mean, even with the outline, sometimes that can happen because when you're writing, ideas come and you start going off in this direction, and you're like, okay, I can eventually bring it back and start, but sometimes, those rabbit trails get pretty
Very
deep in the woods and
compelling.
pretty tangled. So sometimes the outline doesn't save you like you think it will.
No, you gotta stick to it to some degree, but yeah, I think I've definitely veered off of the plan. So I can understand that.
Yeah.
Cool. So tell me about I've been asking people so you had the drafting process. We know that you kind of had a rough outline. You started with your characters, you moved through and started drafting. It took you about 7 months, let's say. Once you had the draft, what was your process for making this a live book?
Lots of revision. Lots of revision. I've again forgotten how many times I redrafted that thing, but originally I was going to publish the book on what is it? The Amazon. What was the serial thing Amazon had going on for a minute and got rid of? Amazon.
Don't know.
Started with a V, I think. Amazon something. Anyway, I wanted to publish it on there. That was the idea originally. It's like, okay, I'll write it kind of like a serial, put it on there. And then Amazon was like, we're not doing that anymore. So I was like, oh, well.
It didn't work out.
Yeah. That's not good. So kind of thought about it, and I was like, it's kind of short for a novella. It's a little over 18,000 words. So it's on the short side for a novella. But I can't necessarily call it a novelette because nobody knows what a novelette is. You say novelette, people are like, what? So it's like, well, maybe I could just put it on, Kindle or something and just do it that way. Just have it exclusively to Kindle and then I think it was Tim McKay. Am I saying his last name right?
I hope so. I don't know. I haven't talked to him in person, so I just see the names, and I am notorious at sounding people's names wrong. So,
Tim, if you're watching this, I apologize if I got your name wrong. I was talking to him about his, and I think his was a little bit longer than mine, his novella. But he was like, he was going to go print. He was going to go hardcover and all that sort of stuff. So I started looking into it more, and I was like, I might be able to like, actually do something with this. And, as you can see, here's the book.
mm-hmm.
It is a very unintimidating amount of pages in there. So, definitely something that can be easily tackled in a couple of hours. So, yeah, at that point, I was like, well, I guess my second book's going to be this little novella.
Yeah, I love that because it's like, in a way, it's like the plain flight book, right? Like, it's something quick that you can just pick up.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, I think it's listed on Amazon as in a 2-hour read category or something like that. So
yeah, real quick. I think there's a lot of popularity, and I don't know if it's our attention spans or whatever, and to some degree, it's a great stepping stone to get you into people's minds so that they might look at some of your other work, especially longer works. So I think it's a good strategy, and you're not the first person that's definitely pursued these shorter pieces, and I'm curious to see how successful you are with it. It sounds like it's a interesting thing. I have to pick it up. I've picked up most of the people that I've talked to here's stuff, and it's on my list of things to read, which is ever growing all the time.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
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 So you did a lot of revisions. Was it trying to add to it, just smooth it out, beef it up? Like, what was the goal there?
Still a bit of a discovery process. I needed to by the time I reached the end of the first draft, I knew the arcs that the characters had to go through, and I knew general areas that I needed to strengthen or that I needed to just kind of pull away from, stuff like that. So because again, not knowing the ending, I didn't know what kind of arcs I was going to give my characters. Are they going to have success arcs or failure arcs? And what would that look like for either one, and so once I made a decision on that point, it was just going back and making the prose better. I write very dirty drafts, so my first drafts are pretty much unreadable in terms of like nobody's seeing those first drafts. They are not pretty at all. And so just going back and kind of line by line making each sentence stand out as strongly as I know how,
Yeah.
And then going back with the characters, their arcs, and kind of emphasizing the things that I needed to in order to take these characters on this emotional journey and on these arcs.
Cool. Did you then hand it off to anybody after? So you went through the revision process, and I know that I've seen some people that have read it, so clearly you had it in the hands of people before release. So I'm curious, did you have a beta reading process and then do more revisions, or did you do just arc readers, or how did that look?
Yeah, it did have a beta reading process. I used what's the website called? I'm blanking on everything right now. It's great.
You're on the spot.
I'm on the spot.
Everybody's judging you.
I am not good on my feet. See, this is why I write X posts, right? This is
you have lots of time to massage them.
Exactly.
I know there's sites like Booksprout or Goodreads or things like that you can acquire a team. I don't know if any of those are jogging anything.
It was kind of like Booksprout, but it wasn't Booksprout. It was the it's gone.
Anyways, one of those sites similar to that where you
sites.
Can find folks.
Yeah, posted it on there, and I actually didn't find anybody through that site. I just posted it on there just to make it easier to send it out to people, so that way I could control, who's looking at it, and if their behavior with it is a little sus, I can kick them out. And they had this cool feature where to proceed to the next chapter, you had to leave feedback on the chapter that you had just read. So that was great, because a lot of times with beta readers you get kind of like a general maybe 3 or 4 paragraphs, and it's not, maybe 1 or 2 things are highlighted, but it's very general. With this, it was chapter by chapter, so you got some pretty good feedback. And I think I had about 10 or 12 beta readers. And so I got some good feedback, and I took that feedback and, looked at the manuscript again and figured out, okay, so some of the feedback I agreed with. I was like, okay, yeah, there's some good points here. I need to work on some of the things these good folks have brought up. But then there was also some feedback I was kind of like, I think I like it this way. I think I prefer.
Can't make them all happy.
Yeah, I think I prefer this. So, thank you for your feedback and all that sort of thing. But I think I'm going to go in this direction. So, and that's just with anything.
Creative decision.
Well, it's something you have to do, regardless in this process. Everybody's got an opinion, and the more opinions you get, the more diversified those opinions can be, and You just have to figure out what's right for you and your story. So yeah, used about 10 or 12 beta readers, and from there did the revisions, some more revisions, sent it out to Redadept for editing and for proofreading. They did some content editing, they did some line editing, and they did some proofreading. So I had never gotten that level of scrutiny from editors before, so that was good. And it was kind of funny to see even the editors didn't always agree with one another about certain
What to
things.
do, where to go, yeah.
Yeah, sometimes I got conflicting advice from them, which was pretty funny. And so from there, I sent it out to the ARC team, and the rest is history.
So it seems like you've been getting pretty good feedback. Everything that I've seen posted about it is pretty positive reviews. People seem to like it a lot. How do you feel about it? Are you proud of this?
Oh yeah, I'm very proud of it. I'm you know, I like trying new things when it comes to writing, just because I guess I get easily bored, and I'm like, okay, I want to see if I can do this, I want to see if I can do that. And with the Christmas Demon, I wanted to write this tight little story, have it be atmospheric, have it be creepy, but also kind of leave readers with something to think about. And I think I pulled that off, and yeah, most of the feedback has been pretty good. I did get 1 2-star review, but so far that's been like the minority. Everybody else seems to be enjoying it, so happy about that.
Yeah, that's good. I mean, there's always a critic in everyone.
Oh yeah,
can't get away from them.
Nope.
Everyone's the people that do. I'm watching you. Like I don't know what you're doing, but
got my eye on you.
I got my green-eyed monster on my back. That's what I got.
There you go.
Yeah, awesome. So I guess it's out now. It seems like you did pretty good in the pre-orders, which is amazing. So
yeah, I was able to. I think I was initially trying to get like 10 or 15 pre-orders, and once I got that, I was like, well, let's see if we can increase that by increments of 5. Let's see if we can go to 20. Let's see if we can go to 25 and stuff like that. So I think I eventually ended up with 27 pre-orders, which
that's
pretty happy about that. Yeah.
I'm wondering, so I've noticed that like horror seems hot right now. It seems like it's like a genre. I mean, the season aside, it does seem like people are really interested in that right now. I've seen a lot of people have success. But I think that's great. Did you mostly just do like, was it on X? Do you have other social media that you're trying to push out on too?
Yeah. I'm on most of the major social media. Got a Facebook account, been talking about it on there. I've got Instagram, been talking about it on there. Just a few days ago, I got a TikTok account and been messing around with that, which...
How's that going?
Yeah. Not a big fan of TikTok so far, but there's some cool things you can do with videos on there. So I'm sticking around, seeing what happens. But I much prefer X. X is where I'm on a lot. I'm on there all the time. I've had some people seem to insinuate I'm on there too much, or posting too much, which, sorry. I have fun on there. I have fun on there. So yeah, most of my attention is on X. Most of my attention and my efforts are on X.
Yeah, I think the other social, there's definitely a learning curve for sure. And yeah.
Well, and I feel like I used to be a lot better on X lately, though. Been a little bit of a desert so far as the impressions go. I'm gonna have to take some lessons.
I don't think you're alone. I think there's a lot of that. I don't know. They change their algorithm and then it's like everything dries up.
I need some take some lessons from John Douglas. I
just gotta say spicy hot takes and make people
sit at the feet of the master and just be like, please teach me how to troll.
I want my own Orc City.
Yeah. Well, maybe not quite to the
Not
extent
quite
that he got. But, something along those lines would be nice.
Yeah, a little attention. Give me a little love over here. Yeah, that's funny. Yeah, I think we're all it's hard out there. Have you ever tried? So I'm curious as far as what you've done as far as getting yourself out there as an author. Do you have any advice for people that are maybe just publishing their first book, or as they're trying to get their feet into this and figure out how to get eyeballs on their stuff? Do you have any thoughts or suggestions or don't do's or this anything?
Well, I mean, I'm still experimenting with stuff. I went to a book fair. I live near Atlanta, so I went to a book fair in Atlanta, and it's one of the bigger book fairs. It's not a tiny event. It's not it's not a major con or anything, but it's not small either. And I think I only sold like 3 copies. And the author I went with didn't sell anything. So it was very, I don't know. There was a good crowd. It was a decent crowd, but for some reason they just weren't interested in our stuff. And I don't know why. I don't know what their interest was in, and, why some authors there were doing better than others. And, I mean, one author showed up with no books. She just had a table and a tablecloth. And I was like, what's going on over here? I don't know.
Yeah, that's it. I had a similar experience with a book convention, if you will, and it seems like maybe I'm wondering, the thought that I had was that maybe it's because it's like you're going to this book thing and you're all competing for so much bag space for books. So it's like all of a sudden everybody's got books. So when you are, he just left. There he is.
Dang, that was weird.
It happens, sometimes you just click the wrong tab. But yeah, I was saying that I think maybe it's like the competition, and then it's just there's like death paralysis by choice. Because I had the same experience where it's like I can go to a farmer's market and I can move like 10 books in a day at a farmer's market. But I went to a book con and it was like, I sold 2. Yeah. One whole day of sitting here. And it's like the girl next to me was like mildly Instagram famous. So she had like people constantly coming and buying her thing. And it's like, I guess I just need to be Instagram famous and write romantasy, but I don't know. So that wasn't I didn't have the answer to that, but I did sell more than the lady next to me. So it's like, it's fascinating to see the difference.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So my best event was like a market day in the downtown area where I live. I think I moved like 14 or 15 books that day. And that was the best event. And what's funny is I had been there like 2 or 3 times before. So this wasn't my first time there, but all of a sudden people just wanted to buy my book that day, it was good. It was very good, but it was interesting. It was like, what was different about today versus the other times I've been here? And, and you mentioned a convention. I'm going to a book convention this weekend, but I'm just going as a panelist. I wanted to go and set up a table in Author Alley, but they said they had too many applications and they had to decide. And for whatever reason, they decided not to let me set up in the Author Alley area. So, just going as a panelist.
Still gets your name out there. It's all publicity.
Yeah. We'll see how that goes.
Not to make a fool of yourself.
Yeah, I'm gonna be on the spot again, talking about this, that, and the other. So we'll see how that goes.
Consider this practice. We're trying to loosen the gears.
Round. Yes, exactly. All right.
What's the topic? What's the topic of your panel?
Different topics. One's going to be about dialogue and description. And it's a geek convention, so it's not just focused on writing and writers and stuff. I think that's the only like writing panel I'm on. The rest is like geek stuff. One's going to be talking about Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith of Star Wars, and The Force Awakens. We're going to be talking about those movies.
That'll be fun.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And then what else we're going to be talking about? I'm on a couple of more, but I can't remember their topics at the moment. So different variety of things. Now my book, Virtual Rebel, will be in the convention bookstore. So hopefully I'll be making at least a little bit of something off those sales if I get any sales out of that bookstore. So we'll see.
Yeah, it's cool. All right. So you have the Christmas Demon is out. You got this month all through the December to really push that one hard. Because I imagine that has a seasonal quality or flavor to it that's going to be that's the thing
right
that's
now.
interesting. Yeah, you picked the right time. So what's next for you then?
Well, right now I'm working on a cozy fantasy. Again, just going in a completely different direction. Trying something new, you know. I've enjoyed.
You are not a genre writer, so there you go.
Well, at least not strictly with one genre. I try. What I tell folks is I'm a sci-fi fantasy author, but I like to write the various subgenres under that overarching umbrella, right? So, like the Christmas Demon, dark fantasy horror. You're still in the fantasy genre. Virtual Rebel, sci-fi, so still sci-fi fantasy, and the Easter Demon. That's going to be the sequel, the Easter Demon.
It's a bunny with fangs.
Going to be the rabbit from Monty Python and the Holy Grail. Going to be delving into that lore. But no, so and then with the cozy fantasy, I'm still under the.
You're getting typecast right now.
See, that's the thing with talking with other writers. So many ideas just start coming, you know. All this crazy brainstorming happens, and you're just like, and it kind of derails you too, because as I'm reading it, I'm like, there might be
Valentine's Day, Jim.
And then with the cozy fantasy, it's, you know, under the fantasy umbrella. So, you know, still jumping around to different subgenres, but still under the umbrella of sci-fi and fantasy.
What do you see that one being? Is it you're shooting for a full novel or novella type situation? Or
definitely, yeah. I'm about 21,000 words deep into it, and I don't see it wrapping up anytime soon. So it's definitely going to be a novel.
So your first book was YA, or at least the first release, and then this one, Christmas Demon, definitely sounds more adult in content.
Very much so, yeah.
Cozy fantasy, is this one tailored towards adults as well?
Yeah, tailored toward adults, but it's going to be, you know, safe for teens and kids to read too. There's nothing, at least in the 21,000 words so far, nothing that would deter any
challenging,
teenagers or kids. So definitely, you know, trying to keep the cozy aesthetic, but kind of how I interpret it, kind of like how I interpret the Christmas Demon in horror. Okay.
I assume that's the Valentine's Day Demon, but I don't really know if that quite fits into the cozy fantasy genre at all.
No, not unless you're trying to like write a cozy about vampires, and I'm sure that exists, but
probably.
Yeah, no, not what I'm trying to do.
Oh gosh, yeah, he concurred. Yeah, we're having a conversation here with many people. Awesome. So you're working on that, making progress, which is great. 21,000 words is nothing to shake a stick at.
Nope.
So that's great. And obviously you're still out there trying to get your work that exists into the world out into the hands of folks.
Which is its own full-time job, trying to figure that out.
100%. So that kind of leads me to any parting thoughts as far as this release, anything, words of wonderful wisdom that you would like to impart on the community here.
Words of wisdom about the book or about
anything, man.
Anything?
The floor is yours.
Oh gosh. Never spit into the wind.
Don't pee either. No.
Yeah, no, don't want to do that. No. No, that's all I got.
Yeah, I mean that's pretty good advice. If you were to give a writer who wants to publish advice for them to be successful, what would you say? What would be your number one advice?
Sit down and write. Just get it down. There's a lot of writing advice out there, a lot of good advice and a lot of bad advice. You just need to. Nathan keeps derailing me. I think he's doing it on purpose at this point. Yeah, just sit down, write, get that first draft done, and dedicate as much time as you can to it. Momentum can be a lot when it comes to writing. You start losing momentum, you could start more easily creating excuses for why you can't write today, why you can't write. I'm not feeling good, I'm tired, the muse isn't there, this, that, and the other. Just dedicate as much time as you can to it, get it down, and then once you have that first draft, start seeking the advice more. I didn't read that because I just I knew he was going to say something. So yeah, that's the best place to start. Just don't worry about everything else. Just get it down, get that first draft done, go from there.
I love it. That's the best advice. Don't think about writing, write.
Just do.
Just do. All right. So where can people find you? You obviously said you're over on X. You have an Instagram. You've joined the TikTok.
I have joined the TikTok. Yes. I'm JZ Pitts on TikTok. I think there may be some extra dots in between the J and the Z on there. I'm not sure how TikTok usernames work or anything like that right now. But JZ Pitts on Facebook. JZ.Pitts on Instagram, and then at JZ Pitts on X.
Awesome. Well, thank you, JZ, for coming on. And I am excited that you got your 27 pre-orders. Hopefully today is a banger day as well. Get some orders in all the way up till Christmas. It's a short read, quick and easy, folks. So if you're looking for kind of that horror/dark fantasy quick read, if you liked or didn't like Krampus, go ahead and check this out. I doubt you will be sorry that you did. So thank you again, JC, for coming on.
No, thank you for having me.